Welcome back to Opposites Attract podcast. This is your girl Sonja, and I'm sitting here next to
Miguel Ramirez. How you doing, babe?
What's up?
We've had a busy week.
Yeah, good day though. It's been a busy week, a good day, a lot of challenges, a lot of growth within this week.
Yeah, We've had a lot of stuff going on this week.
Yeah, family events.
Yeah, for sure. So we had the kids are signed up for jiu-jitsu. Like, I know we talked about it on the last podcast, but we signed them up for their first jiu-jitsu tournament, which is going to be pretty cool.
I'm nervous about that, by the way.
Why?
Just because I personally don't feel that they're ready for it.
Yeah. I mean, but like I said before, some of the people that I've talked to, they said, putting them in it kind of brought it out of them. Brought that fire out of them to actually make them scrap. I think I'm more worried for Audrey than Joey.
Yeah.
Because Joey can scrap if he wants to. The only thing is, if Joey loses, then
we're going to have to be dealing with that angry
but it's okay.
child. And
it's okay. And and he will lose eventually. Yeah. So if it's not this time, maybe next time, but he will lose. Yeah. And that's part of learning and growing. Yeah. So, yeah.
But it also helps too that you're there.
Yeah.
You're there. They see that they have your support and guidance.
Yeah. And no matter what, we'll talk to them. And I already told them about the tournament. I was like, look, I want you to do well. I want you to scrap. I was like, but if you tap, it's okay. If you lose, it's okay. I was like, I still love you no matter what. Whether you win, whether you lose, it doesn't matter.
Right.
I just want you to do your best. That's it. So they know that. So we also had, they got these extracurriculars, like all these things at school. It's like, and you know what? One thing, they have a bunch of stuff after school, which is all right. But then they have stuff at like 10 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. Like, who is supposed to be going to these things? Well,
a lot of the parents, in this neighborhood are stay at home, whether it's the mom, like that's just where we're at. This is,
and then Audrey, like I get the guilt trip. Oh. Like, Dad, are you gonna be there? You gonna take the day out? I'm like, no, I gotta work. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was like, and guess what? Your mom's gotta work too.
Yeah.
If it's after school, then we'll make it work. Yeah. So yeah. But earlier this week, Audrey had that. She had a choir performance, and we really didn't know much about it. Like, she just kind of sprung it on us, like, hey, we got a performance this week. And I thought it was like a little thing, but it was like a full-on choir performance.
I have a confession.
What's that?
I don't even think I told you.
What? So you already knew, but you didn't say anything.
Well, what happened was... Okay, so I have to get up on Thursday. I get up early anyway with you. But it's even more, it's just a pain in the butt because now, I'm getting up at 4:30 with you.
Yeah.
She has to be at choir, ready to go.
And lately, you've been
7.
putting that on her.
Yeah. Well, she's 9.
No, that's good.
And then I have a networking event at 8 o'clock. So in order for that to work out smoothly, like, I need her up and at it. I need her with me, helping me make their lunch, helping me with Joey, because Joey has to go with her.
Yeah. So she told
with
you?
All this going on, no, she didn't tell me.
Oh.
She's like me. She didn't know what the heck was going on. But the teacher, who's absolutely on top of her shit, sent like a letter at the beginning when she just started, though. And... I can't say most moms because I don't know if you're a mom, if this is something you would have done or if it would have slipped by or whatever. But I had, invite whatever, just a breakdown of the days that they have, practice and rehearsals.
The schedule.
Yes. And I ended up, I guess, getting busy. I just never put it in my phone because what happened was I had text her.
What happened?
And she's like, what happened was I had text her. Yeah. And she's like, I sent that home at the very beginning, like the schedule at the very beginning. So
you're like, you mean all those papers that we throw away?
So anyways.
They want to save the trees. You know how many papers they bring home?
Happened.
Oh my God.
Okay. That's
anyway,
what happened.
So yeah.
Mommy forgot to put it in her schedule.
But with the choir, so you weren't able to go to the choir thing because you had a signing for the business. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we had jujitsu that day, but we kind of rearranged things so that she could go to the choir, and I was there. And then when we got home, we had a little bit of a situation with Audrey.
It's always
where she was like upset that you weren't there.
Right.
What did she say?
She's like,
she was asking you why you weren't there.
Why I wasn't there. And then she said, you say, because I do, family's first. And family's first. She's like using my own shit on me.
She's using Jedi mind tricks on you.
You know, and she caught me off guard because, yes, family is first, but there's no way that we would be where we are today if we didn't bust our butts and work. You know, there's some things, and I go visit them during lunch. I mean, I'm here in the morning. I see them off. And so when she says something like that, I expect you to have my back.
And I did.
And you did.
So,
and you did.
But at first, you assumed that I didn't. I don't know why.
Because I didn't hear you say anything.
Doesn't matter.
If she makes that remark and I'm not with you guys, you know, so when she said that. You know what
she did?
Did she?
Yeah, in the car.
Yeah. Ugh. And see, what happens is that when I hear that, I start to feel guilty.
Yeah.
And I will push back. Meaning...
Like push the business back.
I will push the business back because I start to it's like I sabotage my success when I start to feel guilty that I'm not here for you, that I'm not here for the kids, that I'm not around. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Because that was me before.
Yeah,
right?
It seems like that's something that's hard for women in business, I guess, because what the hell do I know about women in business?
Listen to the expert.
Yeah. But no, but I would imagine for men, usually it's like, hey, that's what the man does. He works. Right. He's got to work. Daddy's got to stay late. Daddy's got to work the weekend. Daddy's got to, that's what daddy does. Mm-hmm. But it seems like for women, it's a little bit harder, to sacrifice the family time for the business.
Since we're on the topic, now we're going to get deep into it, but there's times where I can't be at certain events and you will take them.
Yeah.
And then I see you'll put pictures up or you'll tag me and I'll see that and it hits me in my gut. Because
you're not there.
Because I'm not there. Ugh. And it gets to me. Look at my eyes already getting water.
Are you going to cry?
Stupid ass. But no, it totally affects me. Yeah. And so that's why for me to be balanced, as long as I feel that I am present and I'm being there for them, then I'd be okay. Just like that day, just recently when she brought that up, it didn't hurt me because I know that I'm putting way more effort into being present and to being here with you and the kids.
Yeah.
You guys are my priority. Before, I had everything all fucked up. It was like business. You were putting the kids to bed every night. I looked at my calendar and I couldn't even comprehend how I was able to do everything I was doing. Yeah. But then I realized I was doing it and you guys weren't.
Yeah. So, you know what this reminds me of? A few years back when we were both kind of working the business together. Mm-hmm. And I remember one of the big selling points for working for yourself is that you can make your own schedule. You only have a little bit of time, you can work it, but they don't sometimes people don't understand exactly how much you're going to have to put into it. Mm-hmm. The nights that you're not going to be home, you're going to be doing a presentation. The nights that you have to run out because somebody needs help with something, somebody on your team or somebody gets back to you and the only time they have to meet is this time and now, I got to go. And at one point you were working and I was working, you were doing stuff and I'm doing presentations at the same time. I mean, we had a babysitter for the kids and I I remember talking to one of the top people in Legal Shield, one of our friends, and I was asking them, like, look, we always talk about this selling point, like, you do this on your own terms. You do this on your spare time, free time. This is about time freedom, because what if you had all the money in the world and you don't have any time?
Right.
Or if you have all the time in the world, you don't have any money. Well, with this, you can get both, right? Like, we always talk about this stuff. But, he kind of explained it to me like, yeah, that may not be true. And he was like, when it comes to any family breaking or changing the legacy of their family, there is the one generation that sacrificed everything. Because without, like you may not get all the time with your family. You may not have all the time with your kids. But if you do it right, you will change this for them forever. They will have the time with their kids because you did this.
Yeah.
So that's something that a lot of people don't realize. I mean, yeah, it's a selling point for the business, but I mean, if you think about it, any big, like, major company or anything that got big, that started from nothing, I mean, you can only imagine how many hours in the work that got put into it. It doesn't just happen. By chance. No, like, they grind it out.
Right.
So, and that's when Audrey brought this up, I think it was like a couple days before that you went shopping with her to freaking Bed or Bath and Body Works, and then not only that, you came home not expecting to, but with a couple pairs of shoes for her, and then I went and bought shoes for Joey, and then that's something that we had to, like, talk to them about. We had to remind them, like, hey, you think this stuff is free?
Yeah. So after she made that comment, I looked down and she was wearing those pretty gray and pink Nikes that we bought her. And I said, how do you think we bought those nice shoes you're wearing? How do you think we, so I don't know, man. I don't want to raise kids that feel entitled. Yes, I want to lead by example and show them the grind, but it seems like those that have suffered or maybe grew up in humble beginnings, we are the ones that strive to give our children everything we wish we had growing up. And
which ends up jacking them up.
It's jacking them up.
Yeah. Because the most important thing, I think, for a kid to have, like I've talked to you about this before, is like hustle, to have motivation, to have, the grind. Like, I mean, because with that, even if you don't do good in school, you don't do well, you can still learn if you're like, be curious and have a work ethic. With those two things, even if you don't do well in school, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a degree from a prestigious school or a degree at all. Because you know what? When I was younger, there was no way that I was thinking about going to college. I barely made it out of high school. That was like the farthest thing from my mind. But as you get older, you get curious, you get motivated. If you have that, you'll be okay.
Yeah. And I feel that we are helping them with, setting the tone for that. I mean, the whole lemonade stand.
Yeah.
The
little LED helicopters.
LED helicopters.
Well, we haven't explained that. So with the kids, we've done a lemonade stand, which is a pretty typical thing.
Did you finish that beer?
Yeah.
Dang,
of course.
You swallowed it. You just opened it.
I got more.
You see that?
I got to get through all these.
I gotta get. The landscape was coming out.
the more I drink, the more I gotta get more drinks. No, but so we start the lemonade stand is a typical thing. When we went to Italy and Spain, they had these little LED like wrist rocket things that you shoot up in the air with a rubber band, and they were selling them for like €3 a piece, which is like $4 maybe. So I was like, these are no more than like a few cents. So we ended up finding them online and for 50 cents a piece, and the kids bought like 200. And I told them, I was like, you can take money out of your piggy bank as long as you use that money to make more money. And then you can put the money back in the piggy bank. So they ended up buying a bunch, and then we took them to like one of the kids' events. It was a Monster Jam.
Yeah,
that we went to.
I thought Joey was gonna throw a fit because he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna take you to Monster Jam," and he got all excited. And you're like, "To sell,
to work. You're working. You're working Monster Jam. You're not going inside. You're gonna be standing outside selling."
Yeah.
And you know what? But he did really well.
Did he?
Like he was. You know what? At the lemonade stand, he's the one that did really well too.
Huh.
He picked up real fast
hustler.
that not everybody says yes. Like he picked that up. And he was like, on to the next person, on to the next person. Where Audrey was kind of getting her feelings hurt a little bit. Like, they're not saying yes. They're not buying lemonade. They're not buying the helicopters. And Joey was like, you want to buy one? You want to 1 for $3, 2 for $5? And he's just like going from person to person buying helicopters.
I wonder who he takes
or
after.
selling them, right? So, but I think, that's a good thing for them to learn. But also, they'll learn by example. Like right now, they're young. They're immature. They don't understand. But as they get older, they will understand.
Yeah.
Like they'll remember the house that they were born in, the house that they spent the first few years in. Then they'll remember the house that we moved into after that. The difference in the neighborhoods. I mean, we still have that house. So we go back there and you can tell the difference.
So bringing all this up, and we weren't even going to talk about this, but I think it's very important because I come from very humble beginnings. Miguel comes from very humble beginnings, but I had it worse than you.
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
Because your mom said it. Like they had
really
money. Like you were.
I
you didn't
good.
have it bad. Yeah. So I grew up Salvation Army projects, right? And
I was like around the block from the projects. But some of my friends were in the projects.
And my mom lives in a studio, so they get to see. Yeah. Well, this Sunday, we were invited to a friend's house.
Yeah.
And this home
is incredible.
Like a dream home.
Yeah, no, it's hard to explain. Yeah, it's beautiful.
I mean, absolutely amazing. It's like one of those houses that, we went to go look at dream building.
So when we were in, not when we were still, but in Legal Shield, we did this thing called dream building. So we went to this neighborhood in Tucson. I think it was called Oro Valley. And the houses over there, because I remember the houses. The houses over there were insane. Yeah. It was just like stuff that you see like on MTV Cribs.
Right.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah,
Audrey's friend's mom invited us out to a barbecue and walk into this house, and absolutely like breathtaking. And so she has a friend, so she's able to see the difference in the way they live, the way we live, and the way my mom lives.
Yeah.
They're
still
they
young.
Don't see
But they will eventually. They'll realize the difference eventually once they get older, I think.
And I think that's going to be a good
but it's the same
teaching for them.
Yeah, it's the same thing with work, though. Because right now, they may not understand why mommy wasn't at the choir rehearsal. But as Audrey gets older, and once she starts understanding, and it may even take to when she has kids of her own, and she realizes what it's like to have to pay bills, to make a mortgage payment, to keep the electricity on. Yeah. And then she's going to be like, holy shit, man. I remember, dad was doing this and mom was always doing this. And, but you know what? Somebody was always there.
Yeah.
Somebody was always there.
Yep.
Whether it was mom there and dad was working or mom was working and dad was there.
It's true.
Somebody was there.
Yep. Because when you work, there's days where you're working 7 days a week.
Yeah.
You're working Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and mommy's there in the morning.
Yeah.
I
think it's a good thing.
It's a good balance.
I think they'll remember it, and I think it'll have a good impact on them. And hopefully it's something that, they can use when they need some motivation. Because usually when you hear adults, like, I think about athletes sometimes when they talk about, like, where did you get it from? They're like, shit, I got it from my mom. Like, I remember, you hear athletes all the time when they're like, my mom used to work 2 or 3 jobs so that I could, play football or whatever. Like, she paid for the football league and she used to make ends meet, and no matter what, she always made it happen. and she was always at the games, you know, or whatever. So like people, I think, remember that when they get older and they look back at it.
Yeah. But I did have to find the balance, because if you're not there, if you're not present, if your kids are not, you know, if society's raising your kids.
Well, there has to be a balance, you know, like there's certain things that in the business that you may have to say no to so that you can be there for the kids.
Yes.
Like some things that just don't make a difference. Like, it just doesn't matter. So it's like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go be with my family instead. But there are some things that you are going to have to sacrifice the family. And it's not sacrificing. You're sacrificing for the family. Right?
Yeah.
So. You all right?
Okay.
Yeah, so that was a little situation that we had this week.
What that?
I got a magic 6-pack that keeps getting refilled over here. Looks like a commercial.
Mr. Houdini over here.
So I also I got the opportunity to speak at Luke.
Yes.
On
I was
Friday.
there.
Yeah, you were there. That was awesome. And this is something that I've talked to you about for a while. And like I told you, I think about when it comes to work, I think we were talking about one of the previous podcasts, how nothing is free. Mm-hmm. It may seem free at the time, but nothing is really free. You know, the military is something that's important to me, and I've wanted to do more. And
volunteer more. Yeah,
do more for the military, volunteer more. And one of the things that I've been trying to do is get to the base and, you know, speak to the young troops and, you know, just share some of my experiences that I've had. And, you know, throughout the things that I've done at work, somehow that ended up with me speaking at Luke Air Force Base.
It's which because you were weird. Throwing it out in the universe, baby, and it came back full circle.
Yeah. Okay.
God heard you. Yeah. He knows what you want.
Well, yeah, so what I did at Luke was there was people that were retiring. So I was speaking to them about, you know, what I do for work and the transition from being military to being a civilian and things that are important to look out for and things like that. I didn't really know too much about it going into it. Like, I was completely thrown off when I got there. But now I know what to expect, and I think the next time I do it, it'll be a lot better because I'll be better prepared and know what, you know, exactly what I'll be talking about. But it was cool. It was cool being there. I mean, I spent 4 years there. It's almost like kind of like growing up there because I was so young. I was like 18. Yeah. I spent 18 to like 22 there, you know, so.
Well, hopefully it leads to more. Again, you know, the right people are in the room.
Yeah. One thing that reminded me of is sometimes when people do things, they feel like somebody might look at another person that lands a position or that something happens to them and they're like, man, like they're so lucky that happened. And it's like, they're not lucky. Like sometimes the luck only happens to the people that work, the people that get out there. Mm-hmm. Because the luck doesn't happen to the people that are just chilling on the couch. They don't get much luck, right?
No. It's funny that you bring that up because I just had a notary who was looking at opening up their own business. And she's like, how did you get so lucky with, you know, 2 years getting 2 contracts with title companies or agreements that they'll use your services? And I said, oh, no, this isn't luck. I've been networking for 12 years. Like, even though it's been through Legal Shield, I've been working on these relationships
for a while,
for 12
for a long
years.
Time.
So it's not like I just went in and got it. I mean, you know, took a lot of work, took a lot of effort. Yeah. Took a lot of nights, late nights, meeting people, going out with people, taking people to lunch, buying them coffee. You know?
Yep. So, yeah, it's interesting. Like sometimes people just don't understand.
Well, it's because they don't see the work that you're doing behind closed doors.
Yeah, behind the scenes.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah. And you're always hustling at work. Meaning, I mean, you're always looking for the next thing. What can I do to get better? And you're always willing to, you know, volunteering. You were doing those tour.
Yeah, I was doing tours for a while. I was giving tours of the facility.
Yeah, like you didn't have to do that. They weren't paying you, I mean, extra to do that.
No. But it's just something else. It's an extra thing that I can do. Like, you never know. You never know who you're going to meet.
Yep.
And like, that's just the thing, is that when somebody sees a person's face that they remember before, it's like, you know what? I don't remember their name. I don't know exactly who they are, but I remember last time I met them, that was a sharp person. Or they seem pretty cool. So, maybe we'll give them a shot. And then somebody may look at it, it's like, how did they end up? Dude, that guy's lucky.
Yeah.
They don't realize.
That's why it's always important to be kind.
Yeah.
Be kind, be nice. You know, it's just, people don't, I put this on Facebook. People don't know. They don't care how much
you know.
They don't know. Yeah. They don't care how much you know until they know how much
you care.
I butcher that. Yeah.
People don't care how much you know
until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
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 And if you're a jerk, they're going to remember that too.
Yeah. True. It reminds me of, there's like, with the way that music has changed in the last few years, at least rap music, because that's something that I grew up listening to, something that I like. And over the years, it's changed. And a few years ago, it was terrible. But I remember like listening to this one, and I'm just like, I just don't get it. I don't see it. I can't understand what's going on here. And I think I brought it up to you about how somebody that maybe doesn't have the same amount of skill, like maybe they're not gifted with the skill, but if they hustle, if they work hard and they keep working, I mean, they can build an audience.
Oh, yeah.
And they did it. Like, I'm like, this is, in my opinion, this is garbage. But they're multi-million-dollar rappers. So who am I to say? So the only way that I could see it is like, you take somebody that's gifted, lyrically, rapping, making songs, whatever. They don't have to maybe work as hard as the guy that doesn't have all that. So this guy may not be as good, so he's got to work 10 times as hard to get out there. Mm-hmm. And he made it. So, I mean, it wasn't luck.
Yeah.
He had to work, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's something that I thought about when all this was going down. So, yeah, so that was pretty cool. Then we've had so then we got to have lunch with our friends yesterday. That was a lot of fun. That was a great experience. Just, get to chill and relax for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not even realizing it, but kind of dream building a little bit. It's like, man, this is crazy.
Yeah, I put some pictures up on Facebook. Yeah. So if you want to see their backyard.
And they're awesome people. Like, they were just, they're cool. So we had a good time there. And the kids had a good time too.
Yeah, so. They did.
Yeah, so I finished this book. I know we talk about it every podcast so far. We've talked about Jocko and the Jocko books. So I was recently listening to his second book. It's a leadership book. It's called The Dichotomy of Leadership. It's a really good book. It kind of fills in all the gaps from the first book, because that's something that I'm really interested in, is just like leadership. Mm-hmm. And I think, I don't know, it's one of the most rewarding things. I don't know. Recently, I've gotten into it. Just like working with people and trying to build relationships.
Which is odd because you're an introvert.
Not really. I mean, you say it's odd, but I don't mind speaking in front of people.
Yeah.
Actually, I mind it less than you do. And you're an extrovert.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Which is kind of weird, but
you're up there alone.
What do you mean?
Speaking.
Yeah.
When you speak, you're up there alone.
Yeah, but I don't know. So anyway, I finished up that book, and I started a new book called Blink, by Malcolm Gladwell. So that one's it's an interesting book. I've only gotten into the very beginning of it, But I was telling you about it, and it's about your subconscious, like your subconscious mind, like how people make split decisions, and how most people would think that you don't want to listen to that. You don't want to listen to that split decision. You maybe want to do a little research. And the book is about how a lot of times that first instinct is correct. And then it also talks about when it's not correct and how you can tell the difference, like by actually, learning of how the subconscious mind works and all that. So it's pretty interesting, and I'm just getting into it. So it's we'll see what that turns into.
Yeah.
What's up? Why are you laughing? What's so funny?
I don't know. Because you're bring like.
So anyway, the books that we've been talking about, the kids' books, right?
Yeah.
So I figured I would bring them down so I can show them to people so that they can see what we're talking about. These are the kids' books. Way of the Warrior Kid. These are the ones that we've been talking about that I think everybody should have. This is the second book. If you're watching on YouTube, there we go. You can see it better there. And there's 3 kids' books, and there's one that's coming out. So there's the first one. How the heck? And there's one. This one's it's called Mikey and the Dragons. Mm-hmm. This one's for smaller kids, and it's about fear and being brave in the face of fear. So it's a really, really good book. What I really like is it's not like they're not like dumb, stupid kids books.
No,
like
they're real. There's real life lessons in there.
There's so many times that we come back to these books and we talk to them about it. Mm-hmm. Like even the kids book, the really little one for like 4, 5, 6-year-olds. Even that one, it introduces. I was listening to a podcast with the author, with Jocko Willink, and he was talking about. He knows that this book is for younger kids, mm-hmm. and he was kind of thinking about whether he should introduce death in the book, because in the book the king dies. Right? It's called Mikey and the Dragons, and it's about a prince that has to protect his kingdom, and the king dies. And he's like, "Well, this is a book for smaller kids. Should I even bring this up?" And the more he thought about it, he was like, well, that's something that they're going to have to deal with. I mean, even as little kids, they're going to have to deal with that, like whether their dog dies or their grandparent dies or whatever happens. Like, it's part of life. Mm-hmm. So he ended up putting it in. It's a really good book.
Lots of good lessons.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was... those are a few of the kids' books that I think are really good. And we got the next one that's on the way. It'll be here next week. So we'll know a little bit more about that one soon. You got anything? Or am I just going to dance like a freaking clown over here? What's going on?
I was just letting you go down your list. That's all. I'm like, what's next?
What's on your list?
My stuff is it's challenging to talk about. Like I'm just going to hijack your podcast. You're just going to...
Anyway, so the Black Mirror is one of the best shows out there. I really, that's on my list here. The Black Mirror. I love the Black Mirror. It's probably one of my favorite TV shows. If you guys haven't seen it, seriously, I mean, right now everybody's all about Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Because today is the last episode. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I think Black Mirror gives Game of Thrones a run for its money. Like,
yeah.
The cool thing is that each episode is complete. That. What? Each episode is completely different than the other episodes.
Yes.
So you can watch them mix, you can start at season 4, episode 3, and then go back to season 1, episode 2 and watch that. Like, It doesn't matter because they don't have anything to do with each other. But man, like they have some really crazy stories in there.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to move on. And I was watching... What's up? Are you going to say something?
No, I just...
What's going on?
Oh, I thought you were going to direct this thing, so I was waiting for some direction because you said you were going to direct it. So I'm sitting here waiting, and you're just going off your list. I'm like, what the hell? Am I just sitting here to look pretty or what?
Yeah, I guess so. So what's up, babe? What's going on?
A lot of serious stuff.
Like what? What do you got going on?
Are we just going to roll it in like that? That's it? Let's do it. Let's just go.
Go. Let's go. What do you got?
Okay, so we all know.
Yeah.
Well, no, never mind. I was going to start off, but.
All right, here we go. We're going to start again. Take 2. Ready, set, go.
Okay. So, my dad's birthday.
Yeah.
Was May 15th. And
you went to go visit him?
I went to go visit him. And I haven't seen my dad, for a while.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned earlier, my mom and dad had got a divorce and been separated already for many, many years. But I don't remember my childhood with my dad, even though I had 7 years with my dad.
Yeah.
But I never felt that it ever affected me. Like, I didn't feel that was...
It had any effect on you?
No, like I just, I talked to you about this.
Yeah.
And anyways, I went to go visit my dad. I stopped and got him a birthday cake. And, my sister was there and we were talking and chatting. And when she had to leave, it was just my dad and I.
Yeah.
So we were there about 2 hours into it. I'm like, well, I think it's time to go. And while I'm walking out, I look at my dad and, I tell him I love you. And I know, like, I can't remember the last time that my dad ever, like, told me he loved me.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to keep this together because this is something it's fresh and the emotion is there and I feel it stirring up. So I'm like, this is going to be kind of hard to talk about, but people need to hear because some of you may have a relationship that needs healing.
Yeah.
But I didn't even think that this relation needed healing until that day. It was just kind
of the way it is. Like, that's just, it is what it is, kind of.
It is. Maybe I'm not close to my dad because I don't remember him. And I just don't remember him being a big part of my life. So it is what it is.
Kind of, yeah.
So I thought. So as I'm walking out and I tell my dad that I love him, I don't...
Why did you tell him that? Because is that something that... not that it's bad. I'm just saying, like, is that something that you normally say?
Because I felt the need to. Like, I felt like I wanted to. I felt there was something divine going on happening. And it's hard for me to get into it because of you. I'm trying to give the audience, like,
Yeah. No, talk about it.
But there was something, like, I felt a change when him and I were talking. And something inside of me told me, Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, whatever your belief is, tell your dad you love him.
Yeah.
And I knew that it was going to make him feel uncomfortable. Like, I knew that it was going to make him feel uncomfortable. And I wasn't expecting him to say it back. I just wasn't. But I needed him to know that I loved him.
Yeah. What'd you think he was going to say? There you go. Órale.
I don't know. I just didn't expect.
You didn't expect it back.
You can get a hug. You can, anything aside from that.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to make him feel uncomfortable and I knew it would. So I looked away.
When you said it.
When I said it. Because I was walking towards the car. He was walking me towards the car.
Yeah.
And then he said, I love you too.
Afterward? Or like right then?
After. Like after I said it, it seemed like there was a pause. And then he said, I love you too.
Yeah.
And when he said that, like I turned around because my back was towards him. And I went and I just hugged him. And he actually hugged me back. Like a real hug. I should have brought some tissue. And in that time, I just felt this wall falling down, like just tumbling down, like a wall that I had built because I didn't want to get hurt or I don't know. I can't explain it. And so I'm hugging him and he's hugging me. And I tell him again, I love you. And he's like, I love you too. And I told him, I'm like, I don't feel, it's so hard for me to come see you because I don't feel wanted here. And he tells me, like, I don't know what's going on with me. He's like, I used to always be happy. And now I just feel mad. I feel hurt. I feel angry. He's like, I don't know what it is. And I know what it is. But that's a conversation for him and I to have. But when that was taking place, like I seen me as a little girl. It was so weird. I know. For you it is. Like that little girl who's always wanted to hear those words from him and feel the hug, the love from him.
Yeah.
You know, and I look back at like our relationship or my previous relationships and just not giving a shit. Not ours, but the one before ours. Yeah. You know, like I never allowed myself to love a man, not like in love.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I called you right after and I was a hot mess.
Yeah.
You know.
So what do you think now? Like, how do you feel now? Like after that all happened?
I feel that I still need to go back and I need to talk to him and just like open up to him. And I feel when I was hugging him, I just wanted to tell him it's okay. Like
so it's
okay.
Like it's a start.
It's a start. You know, because I know that a lot of us live with so much regret and so much anger and we never forgive ourselves, which in return never allows us to forgive others.
Yeah.
And I feel that he needs to know that it's okay.
It's all good.
You know?
Yeah. I don't think I've told you before, but I had a situation similar, not exactly the same. It was over the phone with my dad. I don't remember telling my dad or hearing I love you all the time. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm sure I can imagine that it did. I just, you know what I think it was? I think it had been a long time since the last time that I told my dad that I loved him or that he told me that he loved me. There had been a long period of time since that had ever happened. And there was one day that I called my dad and just out of nowhere and I was like, you know what it came from? It came from my best friend. One of my best friends, Chris. Because you know Chris. Mm-hmm. Chris will tell you that he loves you. He will tell you. He will tell me.
He's so cute.
And it's weird because it's not weird. It's genuine.
Oh, yeah.
But as a guy, I guess, you're not supposed to do that.
You're not supposed to cry.
When he says I love you, it's like, why not? Mm-hmm. And you know what? Him and Stevens, they're my best friends. And when he said that, I was like, you know what? Why not? Like, I love them. They're brothers to me. Yeah. Right? So why not say that? So anyway, like I was thinking about my dad and I was like, I love my dad. And I haven't told him that and I haven't heard it in forever. So I'm just going to say it. And I told him before we hung up, I was like, hey, I love you. And it was kind of like, I love you too. It wasn't weird, but it was
like a pause.
It was kind of like it's just not something that we say all the time. So it's kind of awkward, maybe. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But earlier this week with Joey, we were sitting in the car and, with the kids, it's, I love you every freaking 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And for them, there's nothing weird about it. It's normal. And I was telling Joey, and I told him, I was like, I love you. And he's like, I know, Dad. I was like, how do you know? He's like, because You tell me infinity times.
How cute.
You know? So that's what he said.
That's
and I was
cute.
like, and he's like, he told me, he's like, do you know what infinity means? And he explains infinity.
Aw, how
like
cute.
it doesn't stop. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't stop. So, and I think, I don't know, it's important. I mean, your friends, if you love somebody, just tell them.
You never know.
Yeah.
I mean, I just got back from a not
A
a
wake?
funeral, but an awake. And a friend of mine's son committed suicide at the age of 17.
Yeah.
And, you know, to be there and I'm sitting there and I'm listening to everyone who's going up, the mom, the dad, the sister, the friends. And it's like nobody knew what was going on with
I
him.
had no idea.
And I look back, or I'm looking at our relationship and the relationship we have with our kids, and it's like, this is something that I feel that we, like as a community, just slow down, be still, be present, and listen and ask questions.
Yeah.
So that we leave those doors open. Because if a kid feels, say one of our kids is being bullied or being teased, like, I feel that they would come to us, I think. But if they're embarrassed or ashamed, they're not going to come to us. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we don't keep it open, if we don't keep that communication open.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a very touchy subject, but that's something that I feel that I'm called to help do something about. And so I was talking to my friend who this happened to, and we're going to look into doing something, some kind of program. I know there's this program called Impact. To raise awareness, because
you know,
the suicide rate right now is just, it's insane, not just with children, but with adults.
Yeah. There's a certain age range when people are more susceptible to it, but yeah, there's
and the reason why I brought that up was because you never know.
Yeah.
You know, like,
well, in this case, like you were saying, like they had no idea.
No.
There was no there may be warning signs that they didn't realize,
right,
but they didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you even know? The thing that you were talking about, like shame, I didn't even think of anything that our kids might be shameful of that they wouldn't want to talk to us about, which is something that we maybe need to think about, so that we can talk to them about it. So that if they feel that way, they can talk to us and know that it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's something that we got to think about.
Yeah. So you know, I've been posting a lot of just on Facebook of being present and being still and knowing what's going on around you, and telling those that you love them, because you never know what tomorrow brings.
Yep. And speaking of the charity and, you know, just doing things for others, you know, that was something that we were talking about earlier this week. A few months ago, we went to a fundraiser, and it was for a Navy SEAL. It was the first Navy SEAL that was killed in Iraq, and his mother started a charity to help veterans, any veteran that needs assistance in anything. Like they help them out. It's called America's Mighty Warriors. And his last letter that he wrote home was incredible. Like, that's something I'll post the last letter on our Facebook group. But if you read his last letter, like, you think of a Navy SEAL, like somebody that's hard and like their job, I mean, is to go take out bad people. But you read his last letter home, like the reason that he was doing that was because he wanted to protect people. He wanted to get rid of the evil people and take care of the good people. And he was talking about humanity and the way we're seen here in the United States. And one of the things that he wrote down in his last letter was, if he talked about random acts of kindness, and his mom talked about it at the fundraiser that we went to. Mm-hmm. You know, that if everybody just, you know, committed just little random acts of kindness, like how much different the world would be. Yes. Or even just, and not just the world, but he was talking about the perception of us as Americans in the U.S. Mm-hmm. to other people in the, you know, outside the U.S.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's something that she mentioned while we were there at the fundraiser. And it's, you know, something like we've done stuff in the past, and, you know, like I said, we talked about it on the last podcast, and I don't know if it's right to mention, you know, the things that you do. It just doesn't seem genuine when you kind of promote it yourself.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
But I don't know. Like we talked about maybe doing something within our group, maybe doing some kind of a giveaway. We'll figure it out. But, you know, for somebody, if you do commit a random act of kindness, we'll put you like in a pool or something, and then you can win something. We'll figure it out exactly what that is, and we'll bring it up on another podcast. But that's, you know, that's something that, you know, like we joke around and we have fun, but
well, together we can make a difference. That's
other.
The thing.
Yeah.
You know, together we can make a difference.
Yeah.
So there was a question, and I don't think we have enough time to answer that question.
Let's get into it. Go ahead, go for it.
You know, so Jen Chavez, thank you so much for just being a part of our podcast. And her question was, how is it that him and I, like, I'm very spiritual, my husband's not. How is it that we were able to grow together and not apart?
Yeah.
And that's a tough one. I mean, not really a tough one, but I had to think
good question.
back. Yeah, it's a great question. I had to take myself back and really look through my journal to think back, like what I did, not to
push me away.
To push you away, because my biggest fear was the closer I got to God, the further I'd get away from you.
Yeah,
you know, the further I would get from you. But the truth of it is that I was working on me more than anything. You know, like I was going to church. I was being mindful. I was learning about things that I had to change. Like in the Bible, it says that, you know, wives, you must submit to your husband.
Heck yeah. I like that part of the Bible.
And so I had to slow down. I had to step back and look at myself in the mirror and be like, what are some things that I could change? Because before it was all about me. It was all me. If it wasn't for me, I wasn't doing it. Like I was just selfish. And the more I went to church and the more I started reading the Bible, I started realizing things that I needed to change. Like I was so focused on trying to change you when the person that actually had to be changed was me.
Yeah.
And so what I believe brought us together is that, for one, like, we love each other.
Yeah.
We love each other, like unconditional love each other. There's some times where we try to change each other, but we found out really quick that wasn't going to work.
No, it doesn't work. Not at all.
We listen to each other.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what, like if I hear something and it's more on the spiritual side, I'll share it with you and you'll take a listen.
Yeah. I've listened to, you know, things that you've sent me, and, you know, I may not agree with all of it, but I'll listen to it. Yeah. And some of the stuff, like I've mentioned on, I think it was the first podcast or whatever, like I understand a lot of things that I listen to. It makes sense, and it's kind of like I take what I like from it, and, you know, what I don't really understand, maybe I'll disregard. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't have a good message or it doesn't make sense, you know. So
we talk a lot. We talk about everything.
About everything.
We don't judge each other.
No.
I never force my belief on you.
Yeah.
Though at the beginning when I didn't know any better, I'd get pissed at you when you wouldn't go to church with me because I wanted you there with me. I wanted your support. I wanted you with me, but I didn't, I instead of bringing you closer to me, I was pushing you further away from me because I was making you feel like you had to go. Like I was making you feel guilty at the beginning. Like you're like, I'm not going, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to watch football. And that would piss me off. And then I just started reading the Bible more. I started listening to spiritual leaders. And what they said was, let them go. Like, don't force him to come. Yeah. Don't ask him to come. Just go and be happy about it. And when you come back, don't be angry. Because I used to be angry at you.
You come home from church pissed off. I'm like, what the hell's going on at church?
You know, I did. I used to come back and I was all
She's
pissed.
angry when I left because I didn't go. And now she's even angrier when she got back.
So I had to change me.
Yeah.
You know, and then after a while, I just left it alone. And I remember one day asking you, I'm like, hey, do you want to come? Like, it was no big deal. And even if you said no, I was going to be okay with that. And you went with me, you know, and we say grace together as a family. We go around and you support me and I support you. And our love that we have is stronger than anything. So I feel that our relationship is divine. I feel that this is all God, you know, like you walking into that briefing, you know, every step that we've taken, like he's been there to support us and to guide us, even though you may not see it that way, but that's okay. As long as I know what I know, you know, and I pray for you and, you know, I accept, you know, your evilness and you accept my blessing.
So the way I see it is, I think the closer that you get, the more spiritual that you get, the more curious about stuff I get. And the more curious about stuff I get, the more questions there are. The more questions there are, the more I'm like, how? How can you be sure of anything? Because there's so much that's so different. We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you take Christianity, Islam. Okay, we're not the Native. No, I'm just saying. Okay. All Native Americans, it's just completely different.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's so many different questions. But the one thing that I do know is that the one that I know that I don't know.
There you go.
But I do feel that nobody really knows. But one thing is there's people that are like you. You've told me that you've had, you know, some things that have happened to you.
Yeah, we were together.
You've told me
plenty of testimonials.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've never personally had anything that happened to me that I feel like is like, oh my God, that came from God. If I did,
so you don't
then
feel
I wouldn't
like
have any questions. God? Huh?
You don't feel like it came from God? You don't think our children are divine?
Yeah.
Our life?
All right, relax. All right. But I'm just saying, I've never had one of those experiences.
Did you just burp into the mic?
Sorry. Seen ghosts or any of this kind of stuff.
I never said I seen ghosts.
I'm not saying you. There's other people, but you're not, like, there's people in my life that they wouldn't lie to me like you. Like, why would you lie to me about the stuff that happened to you with your sister that that you were telling me about, or any other situation? And there's other people that I know that are very smart people. Like, they're not dumb, but they also believe. So, like, who am I to say that it's not, like, I'm not gonna belittle anybody because of that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just, I would have to have an experience personally happen to me for me to believe, but I respect that those are your beliefs. And, you know, it's okay. I don't mind at all. And for anybody else, like, that's great too. We had our nephew that was living with us that sees things kind of like I see them. And for a minute there, he was kind of angry I think, or not angry, but somebody would come to the door and he would kind of have an attitude. And I'm like, dude, you're being a jerk. It's like they feel like they have something good for you. Right. They're trying to save your soul. Whether that's true or not doesn't matter. Like, they're trying to do a good thing. So don't be a jerk about it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, that's just, even though we don't see things exactly the same, it's okay.
I think we have a solid foundation. And I think that we have all the respect in the world for each other. That just makes it work. Because there may be couples out there right now that are going through some things because they have different beliefs.
But you also have to be open to it.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you have to be okay with me being the way I am. And I have to be okay with you being the way you are. Mm-hmm. Because if that doesn't happen, it's not going to work.
And what...
Because if I'm trying to cram this stuff down your throat, that's not going to work. And if you're trying to cram your stuff down my throat, it's not going to work either.
Right. And people have asked me, did you guys meet each other this way? And we didn't. Like, I wasn't very spiritual.
We kind of met each other the same.
Yeah,
and then we both kind of freaking took off in the opposite direction.
But how
just
did
like
that
the
happen?
name of the podcast. I don't know.
Because, we never really even talked about it until something, and I will share this on a different podcast. Something that happened to me where I got to know God and something changed within me.
Yeah.
And we were together at the time. But when that happened to me, something changed in me.
Yeah.
And I became
That's when you
very
started
curious.
Your quest.
Yes. And I started searching for God, and I wanted to know God. Like, I wanted that intimate relationship with God, and I didn't get my first encounter at church. It was at home. So I feel that I don't have to be at church to feel him, for him to be with me, to help me, to guide me. I feel that church is a community where you have people with similar beliefs.
Yeah.
But I don't feel that I'm going to be struck by,
lightning if
I don't go to church.
Yeah.
So but I think to answer your question,
the most important thing is for both people to just be accepting and open. And even the stuff that I believe, like, we'll talk about it. Like, I'll tell you some of the crazy. I'm like, did you know like this? And you're like, wow, that's interesting or whatever. And it doesn't keep you from believing what you believe.
Right.
And it makes me question a little bit more. And then you tell me something and it doesn't make you, stop believing what you believe. And it, and it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But we just accept things the way they are.
And I think that's with everything, though. In every relationship, to accept each other for, who they are, love them, respect them, communicate in a loving manner.
Yeah, that's the number one thing that we've done throughout our 11 years.
Yeah. And love conquers all.
We talk about everything. Yep. We fight. Yeah. And then we talk.
And then love. It's all good. But love does conquer all. Because if you're upset with me and I just smooth you over with my love passion, you can't be mad at me. You can't be mad at me anymore. You know what I'm saying? You can't be mad at this. Come on now.
Oh, man.
Oh, this was fun.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Jen, for the question.
Yes.
We appreciate it. And if you guys have any more questions, make sure to hit us up on the Facebook group. You can hit us up at oppositesattract.pod.com, and that'll take you to our Facebook page. You can obviously send it on the Facebook group. We're at Opposite Pod on everything. On Gmail, you can send us an email. On Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, we're at Opposite Pod. This podcast is brought to you by TrustIncUSA.com. That's TrustIncUSA.com. And you can tell them a little bit about that.
Trust Inc. We are a nationwide mobile notary service. We specialize in loan documents, trust, wills, all that good stuff. Anything you need notarized, we can help you with, not only here in Arizona, but in the state that you live in. We are also independent associates with Legal Shield. And with Legal Shield, what we do is we provide you access to top-rated law firms at the palm of your hand for a small monthly subscription.
Can I share something real quick with that?
No.
All right.
Yes.
I'm not allowed, so
go ahead.
I'll keep it to myself. No, actually, we bought something on Amazon, and we put up an Amazon review here recently. And it's a uniform, jiu-jitsu uniform. And we bought it. We put up a review, and I took pictures of the kids, put it on there. And the company actually took the pictures of the kids and used it for their description on Amazon.
Without asking.
Without asking. They didn't say anything. So I thought to myself, I was like, hey, would you guys like to sponsor our kids? Send them some gis that they can wear, and we'll take pictures of them, send them back to you. I mean, not trying to get paid or anything, but if you're going to use our kids, at least send them some stuff. Yeah. You know, and they're not that expensive or anything. But they decided, you know what? No thanks. But we're going to keep using those pictures. And I told them, I was like, please remove the pictures, and they wouldn't do it. So we ended up calling our attorneys, our law firm, and they're going to send them a letter to get that removed.
Nice. So we'll let you know how
we'll let you know how that works. Now, every experience is different. You know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But a lot of times we have success with
they know the law.
Yeah, so they'll help you out if they can. The podcast can be found everywhere: Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, pretty much anywhere that you listen to podcasts, you can find it. Make sure that you rate and subscribe wherever you can, and share it with your friends, because that's how the podcast grows. I mean, this is an episode that, you know, I think might be able to help some people, whether it's spiritual or some of the more serious stuff that we talked about. So definitely go out there and share it with your friends. Go ahead.
By the way, Miguel, the Mexican landscaper, called in sick.
He called in sick.
He will be.
But we got something for him. We got something for you guys. We got something for you. We'll be back next week. Okay? Yes. So thank you guys for listening. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.